Hello everyone, my name is Bharat, and today in this video I'll be explaining about the database system where I'll be executing some of the queries in Python which is connected to the runline SQL. Before going into the code, I'll be demonstrating a Python program which is designed to interact with an Oracle database. It offers a user-friendly interface for various database operations. Now I'll be breaking down the functionalities. It has four functionalities. One is database connection. It establishes a connection using CAX Oracle library, prompting the user for credentials. The second is user interaction. The program presents a menu allowing user to choose from creating tables, inserting data, modifying tables, dropping tables, and selecting data through SQL queries. Third one will be the error handling. It includes error handling mechanisms to gracefully manage connection failures and invalid operations. Fourth one will be the data formatting. When displaying the data retrieved from the database, it formats the output for better readability, including column names and data types. In essence, the code provides a convenient tool for users to manage and access data within the Oracle database using Python. Now let's go deep into the code where I'll be explaining each and every line in the simple words. Coming to the first line, the import CX Oracle. This line imports a Python library called CX Oracle, which allows the program to interact with the Oracle databases. Coming to the second part, the class of called fast reader. This defines a Python class called fast reader. These classes are blueprints for creating objects. The init method is a special method that initializes the objects when it is created. In this case, it creates an attribute called st and sets it to none. Coming to the next part, the def next self. This is a method inside the fast reader class. It checks if the self.st is none or if it doesn't have any more elements. If it either of those condition is true, it takes input from the user, splits into the list of strings and assign it to self.st. Then it runs the next element from the self.st. Coming to the rest part of the method, where these are also the method inside the fast reader class. They call the next method and convert the returned value to an integer and float and respectively. Coming to the last part, def next line self. This method takes the input from the user and removes any leading or trailing white spaces characters from it. Coming to the class of database access, this defines another this defines another class called database access. The init method takes two arguments. One is username and second one will be the password, and it initializes some attributes like uh, con is set to none and connected is set to false, and username and password are assigned the values passed to the method. Now this method inside the database access class, it attempts to connect to an Oracle database using CX Oracle connect self username, self password, and database connection string localhost 1521/exe provided. If the connection is successful, it sets self.connected to true and prints a message where it prints connected. If there is an error, it prints connection failed. Now coming to the method called update ex. This method calls the update ex method, which provide SQL query. If the connection is successful, it prints the message indicating that table was successfully created. Coming to the create table, where it will be this method explains about creating the table if the connect and it prints whether the table is created successfully or not. Now coming to the modify table, this method is similar to the create table, but it is used for modifying an existing table. It calls update ex with the provided SQL query and prints the message indicating the table was altered successfully. Now coming to the insert table, this method is used for inserting data into the table. It calls update ex with the provided SQL query and prints the message indicating that one of the row was inserted successfully. Now coming to the method called select table, where it takes two attributes. This method is used for selecting the data from the table. It creates a cursor, executes the provided SQL query, fetches all the rows and determines the number of columns, rows, and it prints a formatted table with the column names and data. If a column is a data type, it formats the data string appropriately. Finally, it prints the number of rows selected and closes the cursor. Coming to the and this where this explains this prints the border, or like the when the table is displayed, it prints the border of the table. And you can from here it is draw table will be dropped, it updates, and here it terminates the access. And this for the dropping table, where this method is used for dropping table. It is called update ex with a provided SQL query and prints the message indicating that the table was dropped successfully. Now with the terminate access thing, this method is used for closing the database connection. First it checks if self dot connected is false. If it is, then prints a message and returns it. Otherwise, it attempts to close the connection, self.con.close, and prints the message indicating the success or failure thing. Now coming to the main method, where first it will print the hello and welcome message, and next it will be printing for accessing the database. Please enter the following details. Here it will take the username and password. Uh, uh, it creates an instance for the database access class using the provided username and password. It calls the connect method on the DBA to establish the connection for the database. It enters a loop that continues as long as dba.connected is true. Inside the loop, it prompts the user to enter the type of query they want to create, like create table, insert values, alter table, alter or update the table, or modify values, drop the table, display the values, and the sixth one is the exit thing. Um, if the user chooses to exit, it sets to run to false, calls the terminate access method on DBA and closes the connection and continues to next iteration of the loop. Otherwise, it prompts the user to enter the SQL query. And otherwise, if the SQL query ends with a semicolon, then it removes the semicolon. And it uses the get attr function to call the appropriate method on DBA based on the user's choice. Example, the create table, insert table, modify table, drop table, or the select table, passing the SQL query as an argument in the above. If the user enters an invalid operation, it prints an invalid operation as the message. Finally, the last line checks if the script is being run as a main program and not imported as a module. So if it is so, it calls the main function. This is Before going to the next topic, here I'll be explaining about the relation schema. So basically, the tables or the scenario that I'll be executing in the Python, which will be connected to the SQL database. So I'll be having a books which has book ID, title, price, and stock. Where book ID is a primary key, and author. Coming to the next table, which is author, which has author ID, author name, and biography. Author ID is a primary key. Next, we are coming to the genre. A genre has a genre ID and genre name. Genre ID is a primary key. Next, coming to the order. Order ID, order date, or where order ID is a primary key. Next, coming to the shipment. Shipment ID, shipment city, shipment street, shipment house number, and status, where shipment ID is a primary key. Next, coming to the customer, customer name, customer ID, email ID, city, customer street, customer house number, customer date of birth, where customer ID is a primary key. We're coming to the review, where our content and rating are the present for the review. So next, coming to the rights, where WAID and WBID as there, where WBID is been referenced from the book ID, where WBID is a foreign key. And next, coming to the customer phone number, a customer number, where customer phone number, and customer ID, where customer phone number is an attribute, and the customer ID, which is a foreign key, which is been referenced to the customer table, where customer in the customer table CID is a primary key, but in the customer number table CID is a foreign key. Likewise, coming to the books table, we this one genre ID and order ID are the foreign keys for the book table, but it is the primary key for the respective author ID and for the respective genre ID and order ID. Coming to the order ID, where OCID, where CID is a primary key for the customer ID, but OCID is a foreign key for the table order. Coming to the S order ID, where S order ID is a foreign key for the shipment table, but order ID is a primary key for the table order. Likewise, RCID, where RCID is a foreign key for the table review, but CID is a primary key for the table customer, and WAID, where WAID is a foreign key for the table write, and AID is a author ID, which is a primary key for the table author. So this is my relation schema, and for these value this for these 9 tables I'll be executing in the Python, where I'll be creating all these tables and I'll be inserting values and displaying or setting up some conditions and displaying some outputs based on the conditions. Now I'll try to run this Python code. After running it, first it will print hello and welcome. Then for accessing the database, you need to enter the following details. It will ask for username and password. So we'll type a username and password. If we type the correct username and password, it shows gets connected, and then it will ask us to enter the type of query to be executed. One for the create table, two for the insert values, three for the alter and update table, or fourth one for the drop table, fifth one for the display values, sixth one will be for exit. Since we are yet to create the tables, so I'll be typing one. So now I need to type the query for the create table. First I'll copy the queries for the create table. Here create table author, I'll be creating an author table. AID is author ID, A name is author name, biography is author biography, and constraint, and there will be one constraint, and that constraint is primary key, and that will be the author ID. Now I'll run. The table is successfully created. Now again I'll insert the following rest of the tables like in the same order. So I'll be typing one, then I'll type the queries. So again the table is successfully created. Now we need to type one, then we need to type the query. Here I'll be creating a table called book, where it has book ID, title, uh, GID, AID, and price number, stock number, and constraint will be a primary key, that is BID, book ID, and constraint as a for, and the foreign constraint is the GID, that is donor ID, which references the donor table, and constraint of another foreign key is author ID, which references to the author. Then I press enter, and the table is successfully created. We'll copy the fourth query. Uh, I'll try to run this again. System 123. Now I copy pasted the same query. The table is created successfully. Then again I need to enter the creation table queries. So I copy pasted. Now in this table I'll be creating a table called order, which has order ID, date of order, and the order ID number. And foreign key will be the ID or customer ID referred from the customer, and the constraint primary key is order ID. So table is successfully created. Uh, I'll copy the sixth query, which is shipments. So basically shipment has shipment ID, city, street, house number, so ID, and status, and constraint are the primary key, that is shipment ID, and constraint of foreign ID is which is referred from the order table. So table is successfully created. I'll type one more, press one. And now I'll be creating a table called review, which has customer ID, content, which is a varchar, and rating, which has a rating, which is a number, and constraint here is a foreign key, which is taken from the customers table. So the table is successfully created. So I'll type one. So now I'll be writing the query for creating the table rights, which has a book ID, author ID, and constraint is a foreign key, which is references from the book, and constraint foreign key, which is from the author table. So table is successfully created. Then I type one to create one more query for the table. I copy, I paste it. So here I'll be creating a table called customer number, which is customer number, customer ID. The constraint here is the primary key here is the phone number. The constraint foreign key is the customer ID, which is referenced from the customer table. So I executed. It is created successfully. Now I've created the table successfully. Now I'll be inserting the values for the all the 9 tables. So I'll type 2 for inserting the values. So it is here now here it's asking to enter the query for the insertion of the data. I'll insert the query for the author. So author which has the author ID, author name and the biography. I'll type enter. So the row is successfully inserted in the author table. Likewise, I'll copy all the rest of the queries. I'll try to run this code again. System 123 inserting values. I'll pasted the queries. Now the row is successfully inserted. So 2 for pasting the queries. The third one is also successfully inserted. I'll type 2 again for inserting the values. Successfully inserted. And the fifth data to be inserted in the author table. I'll type 2 for inserting. Okay, now the 5 data is been inserted in the table called author. Now I'll be inserting other data in the other tables. So I'll type 2 for inserting. Now I'll be inserting the genre data. The row is successfully inserted. Likewise, I'll be inserting all the rest of the 4 data for the genre table. So now I inserted the all 5 data of genre. Now I'll be inserting the data of the book. So the row got successfully inserted. Likewise, I'll be inserting all the rest of the 5 data. I need to press 2 for entering the queries. So yeah, row got successfully inserted. So now I've successfully inserted all the 5 records for the book in the table called book, and now I'll be inserting the data for the customer table. So I'll be typing 2. So the row is successfully inserted. Likewise, I'll be inserting the other 4 data of the customers in the customer table. Now the all the 5 customer data has been successfully inserted in the table customers. Now I'll be inserting the other data values. So now I'll be inserting data for the order table. So I'll enter the query. The row is successfully inserted. Likewise, I'll be entering the rest of the data for the order table. Now we have successfully inserted all the 5 data for the order table. Now we'll be inserting data for the shipment table. Row is successfully inserted. Likewise, I'll be inserting the rest of the 4 data for the table shipment. Now successfully inserted all the 5 data for the shipment table. Now I'll be inserting the data for the review table. So for this again you need to press 2, which asks to please enter the query. Now I'll be entering the query which to insert the values of review table. Now that is successfully inserted. Likewise I'll be inserting the rest of the queries. Okay, we need to run again for this. System 1 2 3 insert values, paste the same query. Now it is successfully inserted. Now all the 5 rows for the review table has been inserted successfully. Now I'll be inserting the data for the table rights. So for this again you need to press 2, which will ask to enter the query. Pasted the query for the right table. So now it is successfully inserted. Likewise I'll insert the rest of the queries. I'll run this again. System 1 2 3. This another row got successfully inserted. So the all the 5 entries for the right table has been successfully inserted. Now I'll be inserting the last table called the customer number. So for this again you need to press 2 for inserting the values. Now I'll write a query for inserting the values for the customer number table. So a row got successfully inserted. Likewise I'll be inserting the rest of the values. Press 2, then press the query. Now we have successfully created all the tables and successfully inserted all the values. For example, if you want to, before executing the rest of the queries, I wanted to show you one table. Basically, I'll show you a table called book. So I'll be displaying the values. So I'll be pressing 5. I'll be typing the query, select star from table book. Here can you see the price for the book ID 6 is 8.99. So I'll be writing a query to update the value from 8.99 to 12.99. So for to update the values I need to type 3. So I'll write the query for to update the price value from 8.99 to 12.99 for the book ID 6. So update book set price 12.99 where BID is equal to 6. So click enter, it altered successfully. Now I'll be displaying the table. Select start from book. Now here you can see that it is changed from 8.99 to 12.99. So our query has been successfully executed. Now I'll be showing another query. Display 5. So I pasted the query. So here we got the output for the query number 2. Basically select star from book B, inner join author A. On joining B, A ID is equal to A ID. So basically it joined the book and the author ID. As you can see, it has book ID, table, GID, AID, price, stock, AID, A name, and biography also. So this has been executed successfully. Now I'll be executing the third one. 5. Select B title, G name from the book B, left join genre G on the book GID is equal to genre GID. So we got the title and G name as a combined as a new table where title and G name, basically a killing mockingbird and its genre name, alchemist and its genre name, power of habit and its genre name, like that. So this query has been executed successfully. Now I'll write a query which gives the count, the sum of the count from the book, basically how many books are there. So we got a total count of 5. Since we have only 5 data of the books, we have entered only 5 entries of the book, so basically the count is 5, so we got the correct output. So next I'll be writing a query for generating the average price of each book. So display 5. So the average price for each from each book is 13.744. Basically you got the correct output. So before executing the next query, here I'll be displaying the orders that have been ordered with the date of order which is greater than 2022 and in the month of January and the first, basically 01/01/2022. So for that I'll be typing 5 to display the values, then I'll enter the query. Basically it will show all the orders that are, which has order date greater than 2022 01/01. Here we got the all the 5 entries because the date of order is greater than 2022 01/01. So this shows that our query has been executed successfully. uh, so thank you, this is the project.